What do you think of when you hear the word family? In today's culture, the word family is a little different for a lot of different people. There's a definition, and if they feel like that's their truth, then that's what they go with. And it's important to know that there is a plumb line, there is a truth. One of my very dear friends, she's a new friend of mine of about a year, we were sitting down for coffee the other day, and she shared with me a horrific story that I want to bring up today because it really does have to do with something very profound that she said at the end of her story. So she said that she was in a very destructive family. It was plagued with drugs and alcohol. Her mom and dad both were users and drinkers, and it was a very hard life for a little girl to live through. She said she remembers her mom throwing a great big fit, like a big childish fit, screaming, hollering, and ran out into their yard with a ball bat. And she said in her front yard there were, a lot of broken down cars, and she took that bat and she hit in the windshields, she hit in the side of the cars, the hood of the cars, everything that she could hit, she hit, put dents in, screaming and fighting the air, fighting the cars. She threw it down on the ground, and she ran and she got some fuel and she put it all over those cars and she lit it up. And she said her dad had her under one arm and her sister under another arm, and as they watched this transpire in front of their eyes, they were horrified. Think about the feelings that she was feeling. She was feeling fear, she was feeling anger, she was probably already developing a numbness. What do you do with all of that? And what do you do with the fact that that's your own mom? And what do you do with the fact that your dad is allowing you to watch all of that? She said something very profound at the end of that, which was that it set the standard for what she would allow in her life. So that's twofold. It set the standard for what she allowed herself to do, and it set the standard for the people in her life, the relationships that she had, the relationships that were all around her, from her work to her husband to her children. Everything was kind of, what is a plumb line in the life that she was leading. So she and her sister both became that mom. They literally both grew up and they became that mom. And she's not there now, and I'll get to that in a minute. But we took a poll of her and a few other families, and we asked them, what are some words that describe your memories of family as a child? And these are some of the words that they came up with: pain, abandonment, depression, confusion, sadness, disappointment, betrayal, broken, and unsafe. There's somebody watching this today that actually has all of those feelings. And this is normal for a family who is plagued with drugs and alcohol in their families. I've been a believer in Jesus for 21 years now, and I remember that moment that she shared this story with me, and the moment that I read this list from these families. All those feelings, all those erupted, hurtful feelings came back to me. And I've dealt with those feelings, but they all came back to me because those are very tangible and real feelings that a person has to deal through. So I'm going to give a little bit of light to this, a little hope now. The same families that we polled that gave us their childhood memories of what family meant to them, they gave us new words, what the Lord has sown into their life. And these are their words. It's a lot better than the other words. Trust, love, healing, dedication, sacrifice, loyalty, safety, commitment, forgiveness, and faithfulness. Those are new words that they get to make their own family dynamic, look and feel like. Those are new words that their children actually get to experience because they've turned their lives completely and totally over to God. So what do we think of when we think of the word family if we were to take the plumb line and we match it to the Word of God? It's very interesting that if you look up family, you're not going to have a lot of descriptive words for family, but the Lord is very clear on the roles that each person in the family holds. And the role of the husband for the wife to lift her up by the washing of the Word, that's a role that he has, that he's got to be the one that's strong enough to lift his wife up, to give her strength when she doesn't have strength, to keep looking at the Lord, to bring the Word of God into their marriage and into the family. That's the role of the husband. The role of the wife isn't to just submit and crawl over in a corner. She is a support beam for her husband. She literally gets to walk side by side with him as partner in life and to support him in doing the right thing, to encourage him as he is leading the family in the ways of God. As parents, it's very clear we're not supposed to exasperate our children. So we don't flail ball bats around. We don't have a childish fit in front of them. We don't yell at other grown-ups, and we don't yell at our children and make them feel little and make them feel like they're nothing. Because it says not to do that, not to exasperate your children. As children, it says to honor your mom and dad. It's actually the first commandment with a promise. So kids, if you're listening, there you go. It says you'll have a long life. And if all of the roles are fulfilled, if we take our standard and we weigh it against what God says for us, then in the end, a family becomes something very solid. A family becomes something very beautiful. And we will be something that the world doesn't understand, but as God sets a standard against the enemy, he's going to use the family unit to do that. So at Finding the Family, we understand that parents come to a breaking point when they understand what their addictions have done to their kids. We offer a 1-year program that helps these families with the reset button. They overcome the addiction by allowing God to restore their families.